My name is Ed Alkali. I'm the school district moderator, and I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. As I've done in years past, I'm going to just read out the rules that I'm going to propose for the school meeting and the town meeting. I'm going to kind of read them a little bit quicker than usual because I think almost everyone here has heard these probably a dozen times or more. So please state your name when recognized. All comments should be addressed through me, the moderator. I'll recognize one speaker at a time. Please give your name when recognized. Please be courteous when speaking or listening and refrain from private conversations. Do not address any comments to other individuals or question the motives of another person. Speakers should confine comments to 2 minutes or less. Speakers should speak to only the topic on the floor and should not discuss other issues. Non-residents shall be allowed to speak but should be seated in the back. I don't know that we have any, but for amendments, all amendments should be put in writing unless it's with respect to the budget. Any amendments to the budget do not need to be in writing. If you request a secret ballot, it must be in writing and signed by 5 voters. Once an article is voted on, there will be no further discussion unless new information is revealed. A motion to call the question should be made only after all sides have had an opportunity to state their position and requires a 2/3 vote. Each article requires a motion and a second for discussion, as does each amendment. Please, when you're making a motion, state your name or second, because Sandy needs to take those for the minutes, or whoever's taking the minutes needs to take them for the minutes. Procedural, I'll read the warrant, then ask for a motion and a second to open the warrant for discussion. If there's discussion, I will then read the warrant again and ask if you're in favor of it. If there's not any significant discussion, I will just ask whether or not you're in favor of the warrant. You may overrule any of my proposed rules by a majority vote. Is everyone okay with those rules, or does anyone have anything to say? Okay. So first order of business for the school district is to elect a moderator for the ensuing year. Ed Alkali received 16 votes. Kathy Carrier received 1. Article 2, to elect a clerk. For clerk, Kathy Carrier received 44 votes. No one else received any. For the school board, Dan Bianchino received 12 votes. And the most votes. Joe Ferris, Kathy Carrier, Liz Garland, Jamie Webb, Colleen Cormack, and Tim Sorgi all had 1 vote. And to elect a treasurer for the ensuing year, and Kathy Carrier received 40 votes and was the only one to receive votes for that. Okay, I'm going to move on to Article 5 and get the meeting rolling. Article 5, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,372,511 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries, for school district officials and agents, and for the payment of the statutory obligations of the district, with $31,000 offsetting this amount from various grants. This article does not include appropriations voted on in other warrant articles. Do I have a motion to bring that to the floor for discussion? John Eastman moved, Kathy Golding seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor of Article 5? Article 5 passes. My mistake, I also should ask everyone up here at the table to introduce themselves so that everyone knows. I think everyone knows everybody, but why don't we just start at that end and work our way forward.
Excuse me, I'm Pam Stimson. I'm the Director of Special Services for SAU 9.
Mike Wade, Director of Budget and Finance, SAU 9.
Kevin Richard, Superintendent of SAU 9.
Dan Bianchino, Vice Chair of Albany School Board.
Curtis Coleman.
Okay, moving on to Article 6, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be placed in the Capital Reserve Fund Special Education previously established for this purpose. Do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Kathy Golding, seconded.
John Eastman seconds. Any discussion on Article 6? All those in favor? Article 6 passes. Article 7, to see if the residents of Albany are in favor of directing the Albany School Board to notify the Conway School District to terminate the 7-8 tuition agreement that expires in June 2027. This would provide the 3-year notice as required in the existing tuition agreement with Conway. This article is advisory only and non-binding. Do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Kathy Golding, and seconded Leah Valderas, seconds. Comments or questions on Article 7? Kathy.
I was just wondering, didn't we direct you last year?
That was the K through 6.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Colleen?
Just wondering if you guys might provide us an update as to what's happening with that.
Currently, we are involved in negotiations with the county school district. Nothing to really substantially report at this time. And this Article 6 and 7 are just, as Kathy said, it's the same notice that we have to give, more procedural than anything else, in order for us to negotiate the next contract.
Tim has met with Conway. They've been slow.
Yeah,
He's, it's ongoing. It's not really lack of effort on Albany's side. I think Conway, when they want to get to the table, they will.
Any other comments on Article 7? All those in favor of Article 7? All those opposed? Article 7 passes. Article 8, to see if the residents of Albany are in favor of directing the Albany School Board to notify the Conway School District to terminate the 9 through 12 tuition agreement that expires in June 2027. This would provide the 3-year notices required in the existing tuition agreement with Conway. This article is advisory only and non-binding. Do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Kathy Golding, seconded by Leah Valderas. Comments about Article 8? Colleen.
Again, just a question, we read in the newspaper about eliminating elementary school, all of that. Can we hear from our board as to what is happening with that?
honestly, you know about as much as we do. I mean, I think it's really in Conway's ball court right now because they're going to have to make some decisions that would affect us here in Albany at some point, but until they make some decisions there, then we're kind of at their mercy at this point.
I mean, Kevin, you could speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Kevin Richards, Superintendent. So, yes, the Conway School Board did vote to close a school beginning in the fall of 2025. So it's a consolidation of schools. There are a series of parent forums that we're hosting. If you're a parent, you may have received an email according to those. So there are 3 or 4. They're open to the general public. We're looking at different configurations, and we really want parent feedback to see what people want to make this transition. So as of right now, yes, there is a consolidation of from 3 schools to 2. In 6th grade, we'll move up to the middle school. That's the Conway School Board's position at this time.
Definite? In stone?
They took a vote. We're proceeding accordingly. Can things change? They can change. But right now, we have to move in that direction just for planning purposes.
So are there in the elementary schools right now, each school, and what is their capacity?
So there are about 220 at Pine Tree, There are approximately 190 at Conway Elementary and 170 at John Fuller School. The middle school is about 220 students. So if you remove the 6th grade, which has close to 100 kids, about 85 students right now, the volatility of the student numbers goes up and down quite a bit, but the capacity at the schools is 300. We wouldn't have 300 students with these configurations moving forward.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor of Article 8? All those opposed? Article 8 passes. Article 9, to transact any other business. It's Kevin's last meeting here with us, so I guess I'll say thank you for everything you've done, Kevin, and you've earned a very, very good retirement, and we hope you enjoy yourself. Thank you. I was actually a little disappointed that people didn't give you a harder time, given it's your last time here.
The old days, where are you?
Any other comments about anything? Okay, thanks again, Kevin, and the school board meeting is officially closed. We'll just change some spaces up here and get started right in with the town meeting. Okay, I'm going to call the town meeting to order, and we'll continue with the same rules. The first article is to elect all necessary officials. For the 3-year selectman position, James Druin won 48 votes. Kathy McKenzie got 1 vote. For selectman, the 1-year position, Rick Highland won with 11 votes. Also receiving votes were Joe Ferris and Roderick Henry, who both received 2. Heather Odell, Kristen Stenuk, and Sean Wadsworth received 1 vote each. For town clerk, Sandy Vizard won handily with 50 votes. For treasurer, Kathy Carrier received 42 votes. For Rotary agent, Curtis Coleman received 45 votes. For cemetery trustee, James Druin won with 2 votes. Narrowly edging out Joe Ferris and Kate Willis with 1 vote each. And narrowly beating the rest of the town with no votes. We had a real barn burner for the trustee of the trust funds. Coming in with 1 vote was Kim Guptill, but also coming in with 1 vote was Colleen Cormack. So you guys are going to have to just figure that out. A supervisor of the checklist, Paula Vaughn, won with 4 votes. Barbara Alkali got 3 votes. Just Tina, got 1 vote. And Lisa Frechette got 1 vote. There was also the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission on the ballot. Those are not elected positions, so I wouldn't even read them out, but they're appointed positions, FYI. Before moving on, I guess I will ask everyone here to introduce themselves. Why don't you start, Sandy?
Sandy Vizard.
James Gerald.
Kathleen Golding.
Kelly Robichaux.
Kelly Collins.
Okay. So I've been doing this now for a few years now. We used to read every line item in the budget. We don't do that anymore, so I'm just going to read the article, and then I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes or so to look over the budget to see if you have any specific questions about things. Anything in the budget, you can bring up anything in the budget when it's moved and opened, seconded. So Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $881,566 for the municipal operating budget for the ensuing year, with $50,000 to come from the December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. And I guess I'll ask for a motion Kathy Carrier moves to bring it to the floor for discussion, seconded Caitlin Quint. And now I will give you 2 minutes to review the budget, which is on page 7, starting at page 7 in the town report. One minute left, only 1 minute left. Okay, so there has been a motion and it was seconded to bring Article 2 to the floor for discussion. Any comments, questions? Kathy?
Kathy Carrier, just wondering, under the cemeteries line, what is the 3,500 for under repairs?
Through all the cemeteries, there's multiple things that have gone on. We have fallen trees on cemetery plots. We have fences that have broken, fallen down, headstones that have fallen over, trees growing up in the cemetery. So it's mainly to start the process of cleaning all that up and getting them into shape.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yes, under town administrator salary, it goes from 47,000 and some change to 58,000. Does that include extra hours, or, I realize there's inflation, so things do need to be adjusted. I'm just wondering.
Because Kelly will eventually be exiting the town of Albany, we want to be prepared, and we have put into the budget, I think it was 1/4's worth of a part-time with no benefits at that time to start the training process.
$10,000. It's $10,000.
Any other comments, questions?
To go back to the cemeteries, I noticed that the maintenance budget is up a little bit along with this new repairs line. So I'm wondering why the new budget line for repairs. I also noticed that there are a couple of different warrant articles for the cemetery. So I see, along with the $6,500 in regular maintenance, the $3,500 in repairs is in the budget, but then there's another $3,000 warrant and another $2,700 warrant article. So I'm wondering, what is each for? it's a lot of different requests for money. So what's the additional maintenance, what's the repair in the budget, and then what's the repairs in the two different warrant articles?
So the maintenance is $6,500, that's up $500 from the previous years, and it hadn't gone up for a few years. And we were falling behind at the 6,000. So due to that increase, it's $500 more. The repairs, the two other separate things, it's broken down into headstone repair, fixing the headstones that have fallen over and broken, and then the other maintenance repairs is the fences and the trees.
So why the three different lines? Like why 3,500 here, 3,000 there, 2,700 there, and an increase in the regular maintenance?
Jim?
Which
Yep.
is,
Yep.
you didn't go over your budget
Yep.
last year, but it's increased.
So the operating budget reflects the additional maintenance and repairs that they need to do on a day-to-day basis. The two warrant articles, the $2,700 on Article 10 is actually plots that have been sold, and the money then gets put into the capital reserve fund. So that's money we've already taken into our general fund, and now we're moving it into the cemetery expendable trust fund. And then warrant article number 8, or number 7, is additional money to do work, but instead of raising it in taxation, they're taking it from that existing capital reserve fund that is funded by the plot sales.
Okay. I just, okay. So we're not a perpetual care cemetery, and in the rules and regulations of the cemeteries, we don't take, let me see if I can find it. As far as the headstones go, that's the responsibility of the families. It's not, that doesn't come from taxpayer money. So that's why I was trying to figure out, where do we separate that out from the other regular maintenance, which we would be, we might want to provide. But the headstones, it's in the cemetery rules that in order for that to change, for us to be responsible for that, the rules would have to change. So I'm just going by the rules that are in place. So if I wanted to make a motion to eliminate the cost of the headstone repair, how would I do that? How would I separate that out?
We had $2,000 as part of that. It's $2,000 was for the headstones, to get started on the headstones, not for doing them all this year. It was to get started.
And is that 2,000, is that 2,000 to come out of the operating budget, or is it the warrant article? So should I talk about, that in the warrant article or under this operating budget?
I think you had it in the warrant article, you said.
Yeah. That was the warrant article.
Which warrant article is it?
7.
7.
Okay, so if you want to, I guess that would be the appropriate time if that was the
Okay.
issue part of it.
So that is part of the issue, but I do, I am concerned that we're developing a new line item as opposed to, so there's something under repairs and something under maintenance, but with the building, the government building, maintenance and repairs are together. So I'm wondering why a new, it says new on the new line item, why we're developing a new line item for that.
I wanted to keep it separate, so the maintenance is mowing and just general upkeep. The repairs is to get the cemeteries back up to condition, which that line item would change going forward once we get caught up. And another reason our maintenance went up a little bit is because we need to maintain them better annually so we don't fall so far behind and need to do so much repair.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we do, I documented everything just a couple of years ago, so I'm feeling like this is too much, but thank you for the information.
Sure.
By the way, anybody can make a motion to amend the budget up or down at any time. Any motions to amend the budget in any way, up or down, would be only to the bottom line of the budget, and it would be up to the selectmen to determine how that money would be used, but anybody is free to do that.
Okay.
Sean, do you have your hand raised?
It's separate. If you have a friend.
Yeah, while we're on, let me just finish
Okay.
it. We can go one way or the other. I'd like to make a motion to reduce the operating budget by $3,500, the new cemetery repair maintenance line.
Okay, so Colleen Cormack has made a motion to reduce the operating budget by $3,500. Do we have a second to bring it to the floor for discussion? It's seconded. I'm sorry, can you repeat your name?
Morris West.
Morris West, thank you. Morris West seconds. Any discussion about that reduction in the budget? Curtis?
I would think that line item in there is to stand up the headstones that are fallen and to clean up around, to be able to do normal maintenance, because I know a lot of cemeteries, the headstones have fallen over and you can't mow and you can't do things like that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So I think it should be left alone, because how can you mow the place if there's 50 headstones tipped over? And it's kind of disgraceful. A lot of them are veterans, a lot of them are families that are no longer here. To me, it's small money to be able to take care of our cemeteries, and it's the right thing to do.
Colleen?
I think in order to do that, you'd need to change the rules and have a public hearing to change those rules to repair headstones. There was an opportunity a while back when I was a trustee through a foundation that was going to repair those headstones. I'm talking about as, taxpayer money versus, I'm not against headstones being repaired, just not at the taxpayer expense, because the rule is that it's not our responsibility to do that. I worry a little bit about opening the can of worms, that if we repair the ones that are old there now, that we'll be responsible for maintaining markers in the future. But if we wanted to do that, if we chose to do that as a town, then we need to change that rule first before we fund it. And I also believe that $6,500 is plenty, more than enough, to maintain what we have there. I'm very familiar with every cemetery. I've photographed them all. There's some lilacs that need to be trimmed in Jewel Cemetery, and I'm sure that there are tree maintenance that, as branches fall and that sort of thing, but that should be under the regular maintenance line.
Rick Highland, Route 16. Just everybody remember, this is only removing $3,500 from the bottom line of the budget. This isn't removing that line in the budget.
That's correct, but as we've done in the past, if it's voted
It's up to the selectmen at that point.
Just don't interrupt. If it's voted in to reduce it by $3,500, Rick's right, it would reduce the overall budget by $3,500. The selectmen would then decide to do, but if the townspeople voted in a specific reason why they wanted to, it would be with notice to the selectmen. They wouldn't be bound by it, but they would know how the people at this meeting feel. So. Any other comments, questions? Okay, so I'm going to ask for a vote on the amendment, which is the amendment brought by Colleen to reduce the budget by $3,500 to see if the town will vote and raise to appropriate the sum, and I did the math work, to $887,066 for the town operating budget. All those in favor of the new budget as amended? All those opposed? Okay, the amended budget does not pass. Now we're back to the general budget. Kathy?
I'd like to make a motion to increase the bottom line of the budget by $3,000.
So there's been a motion to increase it for $3,000, seconded by John Eastman. Go ahead.
So the planning board recently had a new applicant coming. There's a large project coming to the town of Albany, and it may require some extra legal advice and some consulting. So I'm asking to increase this by $3,000 to cover at least some of these fees for them. However, on the other side of it, they will recoup these fees if expended from the applicant.
Rick?
I'm a member of the ZBA. Can you increase that a little bit more? Because the thing that's pending is going to end up at the ZBA.
So we've discussed it, and
Okay.
it's almost April already. This probably won't even be coming down the pipe until probably September, August maybe, and I don't feel like the money is needed all in this year, and there is money elsewhere in the budget. You always have those wild card line items in the budget that the Board of Selectmen can move money over, and that was our discussion in our meeting before the town meeting.
All right, if you're comfortable with that, that's fine.
Any other comments or questions on that issue? Sean?
Also planning board. I just wanted to reiterate that should this line item be spent for professional services, engineering, or consulting, that then the client is then billed for those services and the money comes back. So just to make that clear.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Chris Olson. I am said abutter to proposed project, and I commend you for making that recommendation. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Any comments or questions about anything about the budget? Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the amendment first? Yeah, no? Okay. So there's been a motion and seconded to increase the budget, proposed budget by $3,000 to $884,566. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, the proposed budget has been increased to $884,566. Any other comments, questions for anything regarding the budget? Sean?
Just had a question for highways and streets, summer road maintenance decreasing from $75,000 to $20,000, if that could just be spoken to. And then same thing, solid waste, a decrease from $59,000 to $38,000. Just to hear the why and the how.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Start with highways.
It has to do with a storm, but you can speak to that.
The May 1st storm that we had last summer, so the town, because we weren't sure if it was going to be declared by FEMA, we had to do all the FEMA hoopty-doops, and it came out to be $89,240 and some change that we spent just on the May 1st storm. So the selectmen, in their infinite wisdom, decided to move that from the expendable trust fund, because they're the agents to expend, into the operating budget. So if you'll notice, the actual budget that you guys voted on last year was $241,000, but we increased it to $332,000, and that includes the $89,000 that they moved from the capital expendable trust into the operating budget. So that center column is actually what was expended. And then this year, we're going back to what the usual things are. So if you look, if you look, the budget was 75,958 because that's what we added it. We added it there because we actually spent 73,777. We don't anticipate that storm. Could that happen again? Obviously, because the 50-year storms are now 10-year storms or 5-year storms. But what the selectmen are going to do is the money that we did not expend, they're going to put it back in the expendable trust fund, and so then it's available to them as the agents to expend this summer if there's additional damage.
Solid waste is based on the formula, recreation as well. So I think the driving force behind each of these is the revenue that came in to both the solid waste and the rec last year. And that was really the driving force.
So they are running surpluses or something?
No, so rec, they charge for services, your summer camp, all of that goes as revenue. And then they have their budget, which, the normal budget, they have to pay everybody and everything that they put on. And then solid waste, they bring in your charge for mattresses and, certain recyclables. So that's basically the revenues there. And again, it's against their expenditures on their budget. And then our portion is based on equalization value. You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions on anything on the budget? Kathy?
Under Kathy Carrier, under the rec, I see Valley Vision for 6,500. What is as a new line item?
We have a memorandum of understanding with the town of Conway and Valley Vision, and because of that, it's basically a contract. And because it's a contract, it should be added into the operating budget and not a petition warrant article. And the amount of that is based on 2023's cable franchise fees that came to the town of Albany. So that will be a revenue, and this will be the expense.
Is that what used to be on as just a separate warrant
It was
article?
a petition warrant article.
Colleen?
On that Valley Vision and just general meeting and whatever recording, I've always been very supportive of it. Unfortunately, I don't get Channel 3 anymore. I changed a little bit of cable service, and in order to get Channel 3, even though I was guaranteed I would still have it, I don't get it anymore because I have an Apple box, and in order to get Channel 3, you have to rent from Spectrum their box, so it's an additional fee. So that's annoying. No, so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I went online to look at meetings, and I'm been out of the loop for a little while, so I wanted to know where we're at with all of that. I clicked on the camera icon on our website, and that brings you to the live streaming thing that we used to do, and you can't open any of the archived meetings there. And then I clicked on the part that says view current municipal meetings online anytime on YouTube. And there were some meetings there, but the most recent select board meeting was January 10th, and then the one before that was November 29th of 2023, and before that, April 26, 2023. I know that you meet more often than that, so not all the meetings are getting on there. So what is the latest? So I do believe that would be a Valley Vision issue, and maybe Kelly could reach out. And there is nothing archived on Valley Vision that has to do with Albany. It's all Conway. So I just want to make sure that we're, I don't mind support, I want to support these things, but I also want to be able to access the meetings. Sure. So how do we do that?
I could probably say, too, that this Valley Vision is solely for obtaining Channel 3. This is our contract with Conway to get Channel 3. The videoing portion comes out of software support.
Where is that located?
That would be in financial administration. No? Yes, software support. Is that correct, Kelly?
So the internet and telephone, that's Spectrum. I don't know, I do some of these together, so now I'm confused where it is.
I always thought it was under software support. It is separate, though.
Which is separate.
The videoing of the meetings is separate than this line item on Valivision.
So where are we paying for?
That's where you're thinking.
I think it's
it
in
might be
software
software support.
under
So
financial
how much are we paying for the meetings?
$50?
$75 a meeting.
A meeting. So if we're paying $75 a meeting, how can I view the meeting that I'm paying the $75 for?
It's a Valley.
Find out. We're going to have to,
Vision.
we weren't aware of this.
Because if we're paying for the meetings, I think it needs to be archived online.
Correct.
So that we can access it.
We'll get
100%.
that straightened out.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And do we pay for the YouTube? Is that, so that doesn't cost us anything? Is that a matter, getting those uploaded?
Correct.
How does that?
Valley
Valley Vision does that? Okay.
Immediately
Under
after
this
our meeting.
money or under
Under the software
$75
support.
a meeting?
Yes. So $75 a meeting.
So the meetings that they're doing are the ones in this room too? Not
Correct.
just, oh, okay, all right. Thank you.
So I just pulled up the town of Albany on YouTube, and they have all the meetings.
Not the selectmen, there's
Yeah,
planning.
They're all, I mean, they're up to date to the, they're up to date, they're about a month old, but they have all on my phone.
You know, we don't need to talk about like what is there, but the selectmen should look into it to make sure that it is actually there, because, you know, it's a good point. If we're paying for it, we should receive it, and I don't think we need to talk about whether it's there or not. The selectmen said they'll look into it, correct?
Thank you, Ed, yes.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? Rick?
Yeah, on the Valley Vision, Channel 3, this $6,530, if the franchise fee goes down next year, that line will change accordingly? Shouldn't be in the budget.
Any other comments, questions on the budget? Anything else? Okay, I'm going to read it one more time. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum as amended, $884,566 for the municipal operating budget for the ensuing year, with $50,000 to come from December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. All those in favor? All those opposed? Article 2 passes. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,000 for deposit into the Drake Hill Road Bridge Expendable Trust Fund previously established. Motion to bring it to the floor. John Eastman makes the motion, seconded. Kathy Carrier seconds. Comments or questions on Article 3? All those in favor of Article 3? All those opposed? Article 3 passes. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,500 for deposit into the Revaluation Expendable Trust Fund previously established. Do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Kathy Golding moves. Kathy Ryan seconds. Any comments or questions on Article 4? All those in favor of Article 4? All those opposed? Article 4 passes. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 for the purpose of continuing the maintenance and pavement of Albany town roads, with $100,000 to come from the December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. Do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Kathy Carrier moves, second, Rick Highland. Comments, questions, Article 5? All those in favor of Article 5? All those opposed? Article 5 passes. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the Chapel Capital Reserve Fund. This is the one we're going to debate for 45 minutes. Anyway, do I have someone to make a motion to bring it to the floor for discussion? Rick Highland moves, seconded by Kathy Ryan. Nobody? Oh, yes.
I'm going to do it.
Yes.
We actually properly took ownership of the chapel. We had a lot of, what do you call them? Conditions. We couldn't even use it. We couldn't, and now we've had everything lifted through the courts. We just got our notice that that building is ours. It is in dire need of some serious help. And I think we probably should save a little more than $1,000 this year, because next year I believe the Board of Selectmen will be coming for more. The steeple is probably, you don't want to see that get ruined. I'm going to move to raise this to $5,000.
Okay, Kathy Golding's moved to raise it to $5,000, Article 6, seconded? Second. Okay, second, well, Rick second. Good. Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor of Article 6, to see if, as amended, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be, did you amend it to 5,000 or 6,000?
Up to 5,000.
Okay. To appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the Chapel Capital Reserve Fund previously established. All those in favor? All those opposed? Article 6 as amended passes. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for additional maintenance of town cemeteries, with $3,000 to come from the Cemetery Expendable Trust Fund previously established. Do I have a motion to bring to the floor? Kathy Ryan moves, seconded. John Eastman seconds. Comments, questions, Article 7. Colleen.
So what is this 3,000 for?
This one's, what's this, 7?
This is to get the total.
Article 7 was to fix the stones.
Yep. It's,
well, not fix the stones, begin.
Right, it's to start fixing the
Picking them up.
stones, standing them up, and it's maintenance beyond the normal mowing. Pulling up pine shrubs that have grown up through a quarter of a cemetery, saplings that have grown up into plots, and trimming trees. That's the maintenance.
I still don't understand what the difference between this 3,000
It's
and
where
the
it's going to be.
3,500.
So the operating budget is going to come from taxation minus the 50,000 from fund balance. This 3,000 is the same work, it's just more of that work, but it's coming from the expendable trust fund.
Okay.
That is set up for that. Statutorily, we have to have fences now. And a bunch of the fences are damaged and need to be repaired, and the other things that they spoke about.
Rick? How much is in the expendable trust fund contract?
Page. Trust funds. 23?
$20,094 at the end of December.
Anything else on Article 7? Okay, all those in favor of Article 7? All those opposed? Article 7 passes. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 to be added to the Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Do I have a motion? Kathy Carrier, seconded Rick Highland. Comments, questions? Yep, Rick.
What's the balance of that fund?
$1.83. $1.83.
On the budget.
In the black.
Anything else on Article 8? All those in favor of Article 8? All those opposed? Article 8 passes. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the Emergency Management Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Rick Highland moves, seconded Kathy Carrier. Comments, questions, Article 9? Rick.
How much is in that fund?
$4,100.36.
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor of Article 9? All those opposed? Article 9 passes. Article 10, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $2,700 to be added to the Cemetery Expendable Trust Fund to come from December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. Do I have a motion? Kathy Golding, seconded. First name? Ron Ryan. Okay, Ron Ryan. You got in. You got into the minutes. Congratulations. You might even one day be able to move rather than second. Anyway, comments, Article 10. Colleen.
This 2,700 for?
So this is the money that, so I didn't understand when I first came here 4 years ago that the plot money gets put into the expendable trust fund. So this is 3 years of the sales of cemetery plots that I'm now, that whenever the town takes in money, it drops into the general fund, and now we're appropriating out of unassigned fund balance into the cemetery expendable trust, or capital reserve, sorry, expendable trust.
Sean.
Is there a way to have sale of cemetery plots go directly to the cemetery fund? So that we don't have to go through this process each year?
I honestly don't. Seems like there would be, but I don't honestly know the answer to that. And Mr. Eastman says he does not believe so, so. Generally speaking, the only way to earmark revenue is with a revolving fund or some kind of fund that allows that. And like parks and recreation funds can be revolving. I don't know that I've ever seen a cemetery revolving fund, but I can look into it.
Oh, thanks. If you'll look into it, or the cemetery committee could look into that. Thank you.
Any other comments, Article 10? Colleen?
Just a question about since it's a revenue, I'm wondering why it's not included in the proposed revenues. You know, would we, maybe that's not the right line, but, so a place where you show revenues of the town.
Right, so historically, I went back and looked at that too. Historically, we've always budgeted as unanticipated because we don't know how many people are going to die, or if any are going to die. So we try to keep the revenue accounts things that we can kind of actually count on. Like we know there's going to be highway block grant money. We know there's going to be, you know, some rooms and meals money. So cemeteries, we just don't know. Like 1 year I sold 3 plots and 2 years I sold none. So we just don't know. So we put it in unanticipated, and then I just keep track of, I went back and looked at what I had done in the last 3 years, and it's $2,700, so now we're moving it. And we just sold 1 plot this year already for $450, so I don't know what it'll be next year.
Any other comments, questions, Article 10? Okay, all those in favor of Article 10? All those opposed? Article 10 passes. Moving on to Article 11. To to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $90,000 to be added to the Highway Expendable Trust Fund to come from December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. Moved? Ron Ryan moves, seconded by John Eastman. Any comments, questions, Article 11? All those in favor of Article 11? Article 11 passes. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to place all net proceeds from any timbering of town forest land into the Conservation Fund in accordance with RSA 31:113. Do I have a motion to bring to the floor for discussion? Kathy Golding moves, seconded Ron Ryan.
I'm sorry,
You got to be quick. You got to be quick in this. Any comments, questions, Article 12? All those in favor? All those opposed? So Article 13 through 18, I'm proposing to discuss as a whole, as we have done in the past. Does anyone have any objection to that? Yes, Kathy.
Article 14 is not recommended by the selectmen.
Neither is 18.
Okay, so let's talk about, does anyone have an objection to doing Article 13, 15, 16, and 17 as a group? So we're going to do a little bit out of order. We'll do 13, 15, 16, and 17. We'll then go back to Article 14 and then to Article 18, okay? Any problems with that, anybody? Okay, so I'm going to read I'm going to read Article 13, 15, 16, and 17, and look for a motion and a second to bring all those to the floor for discussion. Article 13, by petition, to see if the town hall will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 for the Family Resource Center at Children Unlimited, Inc. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to support Albany Home Delivered Meals, Meals on Wheels, congregate meals, transportation, and program services provided by the Gibson Center for Senior Services, Inc. Article 16, to respectfully request that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,224 in support of Starting Point, providing advocacy and support to victims of domestic and sexual violence and their children. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 for the Conway Area Humane Society for the purpose of supporting continuing services for stray, abandoned, and neglected animals brought to the shelter by animal control or private citizens no longer able to care for them. Do I have a motion to bring Articles 13, 15, 16, and 17 to the floor for a motion? Morris West moves, seconded by John Eastman. Any comments, questions, Article 13, 15, 16, and 17? Sean.
Why did the selectmen vote to support all of these?
First of all, they were all submitted by petition, so they all have to go on the warrant. They also submitted all of their documentation that we asked for, and so that's why we were in support of all of these. Anybody else?
No. Thank you, Leah. Any other comments or questions on 13, 15, 16, or 17? Okay, all those in favor of Articles 13, 15, 16, and 17? All those opposed? Opposed. Articles 13, 15, 16, and 17 pass. Working our way back to Article 14 by petition to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,708 for the operation of Tri-County Community Action Program, Inc., service programs in Albany, transportation, energy assistance, weatherization, guardianship, Head Start, homeless intervention and prevention, disaster relief, and Tamworth Dental Center. Do I have a motion to bring that to the floor for discussion? John Eastman moves, seconded by Kathy Carrier. I'll give the selectmen an opportunity to speak first if they want to, because they are not recommending it.
First of all, they did not provide their supporting documentation that we asked for. That was the first and foremost reason for it. Me personally, I have a personal issue with Tri-County CAP and the services that they're supposed to be providing, they are not. They're not answering their phone. When you call and leave a message, they're not calling you back, and then they just cut you off and you're done. They're not providing, the homeless outreach worker is non-existent. This mismanagement goes right up to the very top, and until they reorganize and figure out some of their problems, I will not support their program. Anybody else?
Sean?
So you spoke to Tri-County CAP, the other services, energy assistance, weatherization, guardianship, Head Start, homeless, intervention and prevention, disaster relief, and Tamworth Dental Center. So are you speaking the same words to all of those?
So they are all tied together, and they're all managed by the same organization, and I'm telling you, from the top, has to be reorganized, otherwise that they shouldn't even be in business. From what I understand, they returned hundreds of thousands of dollars in federal dollars that they could have helped families in Albany.
I have an example, because we don't have a lot of welfare outreach because the town is so small, but I actually had 2 cases this year, and one of them was a family that was homeless, and I called Tri-County CAP to talk to the homeless outreach worker, and she said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Albany," and she said, "New York?" Literally doesn't know the county. I'm like, no, Albany, New Hampshire. But then told me to buy a family with a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old in October. Told me to buy them a tent and 4 sleeping bags. That was the homeless outreach. There is no homeless outreach, and again, we're lucky that we don't have a lot of people that qualify and need this assistance, but when we do, we're paying something to them, and they're saying we're in their catchment area, and we just aren't getting the assistance.
Sean?
They're not using the microphone, so I can't hear them.
Okay,
You're going to have to come up front to the microphone.
we need a new runner. Microphone person, thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Just wondering if we have any data on how many Albany residents have utilized or attempted to utilize these services.
Their documentation, we might
That's
know
why
that.
we didn't support it, because they did not give us the documentation this year. That in previous years they have, but this year they just did not provide it.
Thank you. Any other comments, article from Colleen? Thank you, Morris. It's not easy with you.
Thank you. I'll just come over here. So I hear what you're saying. It's $1,700. Do we know if anyone benefited from these services at all? Or are you saying no one has benefited?
We don't know.
Because I saw the
how many.
numbers from the year prior, and they were quite high. And I do know people that benefit from it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, let her finish.
So I guess my point is, we just voted to spend $13,000 on maintaining property for the dead, $1,700 for the living. Even if I absolutely agree with what you're saying, that there needs to be improvement in management, these programs are pretty vital to the people who use them. So would us voting this down, would that mean that Albany would no longer be able to use those if management improved or otherwise?
Deny us. We are part of the county. We are part of the Tri-County, and I don't think they can deny us. And maybe voting this down will start to send, a little message saying we're not going to support you until you start making some changes. That's just my point of view, no one else's.
Let's go Rick and then Kelly. Rick?
Keep in mind, all of these people that are begging for money all get government grants, and they get plenty of money there. They also get state grants.
They do.
Yes.
To turn back over.
So it's coming out of our pockets one way or the other.
Kelly, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the bulk of their funding comes from federal and state grants. So this $1,708, again, is just kind of sending a message. And I don't have the numbers because they didn't provide them, but I know that Albany people benefit because it includes the fuel assistance program. And if no other program gets used, fuel assistance gets used, for sure. But again, the bulk of their money does not come from any of the towns in the catchment area. It comes from the federal and the state. And I agree with Kathy that they need a message. I'm not sure if this will work or not.
But it's not going to
Hold on,
affect the people that
let's get the microphone over there.
But you are saying that if we vote it down, it won't affect the people that benefit from the fuel assistance or from
We
any
are
of
the
these?
community
Because
in
we
the
are
tri-county
in them,
cap,
okay.
so they
That-
can't.
That was all I wanted to clarify.
Sean?
Last thing on this would be, should this get voted down, would the select board be sending a letter stating why and what changes need to be made so that we would support this in the future?
I would think absolutely we would, I think they would be talking to us first, but we would definitely have a response. And I feel that they throw a number at us and they expect us to just do it out of the goodness of our hearts. I would rather see them come with representation. I know Valley Vision for years would show up to these meetings to express their concern, and some of these other people feel that they can just put this on here and we give it to them. So they didn't, no petition warrant, it's not the right way of doing it.
We did get a petition warrant.
But we didn't, we did get that, but we didn't get the supporting.
Right.
And we need to see that. We need to see what, how many numbers we have, so they need to put a little more effort. And that's going to be my comment to them. If they want support, they need to come looking for support. Because we go down there and ask them for help, not me, but I know people that do. If we have to go to their office and knock on their door and say, I need assistance, well, they're looking for assistance from us.
Also, it shouldn't be up to Kelly, the town administrator, to be chasing and calling and saying, petitions are due and your documentation isn't here. And I believe you said you called 2 or 3 times and they still didn't show up with it. They provide it to every other town. Why can't they stop along the way? They stop off with a petition.
They don't know where we are.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
They did, they left it in New York.
Any other comments on Article 14? Sean?
Just that I'd be in agreement with voting this down so long as we send a clear, concise message to them of what the expectations would be.
Sam? Well, Mark, could you bring this? Sorry.
I volunteered for about a year to work with this group, purely on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
And I had to get out of there because some of the stuff that was going on was frightful. And so I'm with the folks who have a problem, including Kathy.
Thank you, Sam.
Any other comments? Yes, Peter?
Just a closing one. A little history.
The closer.
15 years ago or so, when everybody just passed, anybody asked us for money, it was passed automatically. We changed that 1 year, about 15 years ago. What Kathy's talking about, you folks, nobody shows up, nobody gives you answers. If you want our money, you have to come here. But we're also intelligent. We have budgets. We have families. We also, even if you just have a casual knowledge of the law, if people need help in this state, they get it. But to do it this way, if somebody on the street asks you for $1,000, you're going to give it to them? No. This is good. I appreciate your attitude. We stop giving money this way. If you want money from us, you've got to show up, give us a good reason. Even if we don't agree with this thing, and what you're talking about, you've already looked into it, and the attitude of the people out there, forget it. The people that need assistance will get it. We had people used to come here in a cab looking for assistance. They were turned away. They went somewhere else, went to Tamworth or something, okay? These are just people looking for help. We'll take care of our own and expect that they will also help the community and be good neighbors. So thank you. I appreciate the attitude, and I recommend forget it.
Okay, I'm going to read that one again and ask all those in favor of Article 14. Okay? Just to be clear, if you raise your hand, that means you're in favor of to the money. If you don't, then you oppose it. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,708 for the operation of Tri-County Community Action Program, Inc. service programs in Albany, transportation, energy assistance, weatherization, guardianship, Head Start, homeless intervention and prevention, disaster relief, and Tamworth Dental Center. All those in favor of Article 14? All those opposed? Article 14 does not pass. Moving on to Article 18. To see if the town of Albany will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,942 for the support of the White Mountain Community Health Center to help meet the health care needs of the uninsured and underinsured residents of the town of Albany. Do I have a motion to bring that to the floor? Jody Morissette moves, Ron seconds, Ron Ryan seconds. Comments, questions, Article 18? Okay, Morris, could you bring it to John Eastman first?
I just wanted to let the select board know. I wanted to know. Why?
Okay, why don't we, yeah, why did the select board not recommend this?
I voted to not support this solely because they did not submit their supporting documentation. It's just that you can submit the petition, you give it to every other town, bring it. It's easy, make another copy, bring it to us. And that's all. I have no personal problems with White Mountain Community Center. They're wonderful.
I agree. We've used the community health center for years. All my children have, and I have no problem. I know they use the money wisely. And why they didn't do this, I think we've spurred them on in the past. We can't do that every year. They need to know they need to do it on their own. So, but as the facility's just great, the people are great, and I have no problem with them. I think they have a great service.
Any other comments, questions? Colleen?
So they submitted the petition, obviously, but they didn't support or give you the supporting numbers, and that's what the issue is? Or
their annual report. And
So I have to say, they provided 2 years of their IRS 990 forms. They provided their copy of their IRS letter of determination, nonprofit tax exempt, and the detailed description of the services they offer to Albany. But they did not give us their New Hampshire Attorney General's letter. They did not give us the total number of clients and residents served in the surrounding town. Like, we have a checklist. The Tri-County CAP didn't give us any of that supporting documentation except the petition, which they have to give us to get on there. But White Mountain Health tried. I think they're having some staffing shortages, and because I did call them as well. I hate to do this, because if they provide a service to the community, it's a service that the town can't afford to pay doctors' visits for their residents. So they do provide a service. And again, they provided their tax exempt 990 forms and their nonprofit and some of the other stuff, but then they kind of fell down on the statistical stuff, what grants they're getting, because every other town tells us what grants they're getting from whom, and kind of their revenue and expense. So I just wanted to differentiate. The other one didn't give us any supporting documentation. They didn't give us all the supporting documentation.
Does the select board feel that this organization is well run, using the money wisely, and had a hiccup?
I do.
yes.
And in past years, we're in support And if they, in future years, provided all the documentation, select board would be in support.
It would.
Thank you.
Comments, questions? Okay, I'm going to read that one again. To see if the town of Albany will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,940 for the support of the White Mountain Community Health Center to help meet the health care needs of the uninsured and underinsured residents of the town of Albany. All those in favor? 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. All those opposed? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, we're going to do that again because I had a tie. Which then the moderator is supposed to break, and I don't want to do that. Anyway, all those in favor? 2, 4, 6, 8.
I have to speak to that real quick. I was for, but as a selectman, without the documentation, I'm going to go against.
He's changing his vote.
I'm changing my vote.
Let's start it again.
So,
All those in favor? All those opposed? It does not pass, 11 to 10.
I need a new doctor now.
That's glad you didn't have to decide.
Oh, I don't care. I would have.
You're welcome, Ed.
No, actually, if 21 people voted, obviously I miscounted the first time. So anyway, that is all the petitioned articles. Now, we have any other business that may legally come before this meeting. I know Sean had something to raise. Sean, do you want to raise that right now?
So this is a follow-up to the NHDOT public hearing that we had less than a year ago, where the message that came across to me fairly loud and clear from nearly everyone in the room unanimously was lower the speed limit. At that meeting, it was DOT who aren't in charge of speed limits, so they heard us, but they said that's not their realm of control. So what this is, as you can read, just a letter stating that if it passes, we, the residents of Albany, insist on lowering the speed limit from 50 to 40. Its effect would be the select board would be sending letters to all of the agencies listed, including elected representatives, stating this. You just basically cut and paste this and send it. It's, what is it? There's no harm, and there's potentially a help. Very likely the state Department of Safety will not change the speed limit because of this. It does put us on record as residents of Albany of the people that live here, that pull in and out of Route 16 every day, that are teaching our children to drive, or just navigating it ourselves, that it feels a little more terrifying than it should be. And the data backs it up. There's been deaths, accidents, all the bad things. So it's that simple. It can't hurt, and it may help.
I'm going to read it. Sean submitted a written proposal. I'm going to read it. The proposal is that this letter be sent by the town of Albany. We, the people of the town of Albany, do hereby support the reduction of the posted speed limit on Route 16 within Albany's borders from 50 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. We experience on a daily basis that our main street, Route 16 through Albany, is excessively fast and dangerous. This stretch of highway has numerous curves, hills, narrow shoulders, and intersections, including many of our residents' direct access driveways. The historical safety record of this stretch of highway highway has been the opposite of safe. Numerous fatalities and many more non-fatal accidents have tragically taken their toll on our citizens and our visitors. The entire distance of Route 16 through Albany is approximately 5 miles. A reduction in the state posted speed limit from 50 to 40 miles per hour would increase the total travel time through Albany by 1.5 minutes. We find this to be a minimal cost relative to the health and safety benefit of all persons traveling along Route 16 through Albany. We, the citizens of Albany, insist that this recorded vote be presented to the New Hampshire Department of Safety, New Hampshire Department of Transportation, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, and all elected representatives whose jurisdiction includes our town. So this is obviously advisory, it's non-binding, and it's not a warrant article, so it's in essence an informal vote that the selectmen can accept or not accept as they see fit, but that is the tenor of the letter. Does anyone have any comments on that? Rick?
Living on Route 16, I agree with Sean, okay? I have walked Route 16 with the DOT, and that letter you're going to send is going to get filed in the round file cabinet. Okay, they've got federal funds, et cetera. What I would recommend, having spent a lot of time down at the legislature with broadband and a couple of other issues, is to get not our selectmen, but get them on board with our representatives and get Jeb Bradley involved at the Senate, okay, and file legislation specifically for Albany.
Okay.
And that'll bring it to the state's attention. That would be my recommendation. Again, I support what Sean's trying to do, but it's going to fall on deaf ears. It's like peeing into the wind.
Okay.
So,
just a question, could both things be done? Yeah.
As stated in the letter, letters would be sent to all of our representatives of which we are in their jurisdiction, so that would be to Jeb Bradley and to the governor's office. And I agree with you that there should be further steps taken.
Meet with the reps and actually get them to file legislation, not just give them a letter. Make them file legislation.
Agree. And I think of this as a first step in that direction.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions on this? John?
I'll just say I agree with Rick. Sean, good work on this. I was at the State House last week, and I can tell you, when you run into Senator Bradley in the hallway and you see surprise on their face and they have to talk to you, and the Senator has been a good advocate for this area, but I will say, and Rick is right, is that you talk to your reps, and if people show up there, I was there, it was opened my eyes, but they pay attention because they like being elected. And if they know that it's true, if they know that Albany people vote and they come out, and I'm not saying Albany can sway a rep out of their office, but the more and more people, it's like having a chihuahua biting on your ankle. You can't get rid of them. And if you act like that, you don't think you can make any kind of progress, but you really, really can. They do listen, but you got to get their ear and you got to talk to them face to face. And the last thing I want to say, I want to thank Kathy for her service. Serving the public is difficult. And I can tell you that I'm happy to be a resident of Albany, and I appreciate being able to register my car. Everyone's great. I wanted to thank Noah Curtis, especially, as our road agent. I would like to pass the Conway Road to go from 70 miles an hour down to 20, but I do appreciate, all kidding aside, I appreciate the selectmen. We've had a few issues on that road, and the Board of Selectmen have listened. Carroll County Sheriff's Department has been wonderful, so thank you. State Police, it means a lot because, we live on a road where we're all neighbors and look out for each other, and I just think the construction and the snow plowing and all the things, and people don't hear it very often. They like to complain, but I won't speak, but I have some neighbors here on my road, and I'm very happy with it's always pavement, so I won't say it's as good as Conway's, but it is. It's as good as Conway. And I'll tell you, I went the other day, and we didn't have any snow on our road, and the minute I passed into Conway, they had 2 inches. So I was like, what is that all about? So Curtis, thank you, all your employees, and Ed, thank you. I just wanted to thank everyone for their service, and I know it's difficult, but it's what makes a good small town. Fun to live in. So thank you.
Appreciate it, Johnny. Hold on. Is there any more discussion on the road issue that Sean brought up before we move on? Kelly first, and then Colleen.
Already in the works, a lot of this. And we have a meeting scheduled for April, May. It's not dead set yet. With the same DOT people are going to come out and present again to the town. I expect everyone to be here. You'll get invitations. We'll get a blast out there, make sure everybody knows about it. And this time I'm inviting the person that sets the speed limits, and I would expect him to show up. And Mark McConkey and whatever reps we can catch. Jeb Bradley will get invited, whether he shows up or he sends someone. I would expect something, but we're going to urge him to show up. And after this meeting, was going to be a push. We're going to be the squeaky wheel, and we're going to push on some people, and I'm going to distribute emails to everyone of whoever we can think of that doesn't want to hear us, and they're going to hear us, and that we're going to have a big push, and we're going to get this done, and not just because I live on 16, but I travel it every day, and I'm going to get Madison involved. They were involved last time, and a side note to that is we're working on fixing the Route 113-16 intersection as a separate project, and that's in the works. The final engineering should be done within the next few weeks of how we're going to fix that, and I'll update that at the same time. But we're going to piece all this together, and we're going to band together on this because everyone's really concerned about it. I don't know about 40. There are rules to that, but we get the right people. You know, we've had good luck with some representatives. So, and I know Mark McConkey is on this, and he's important. So,
our last meeting with DOT when Mark was there as well.
We all had them. That's when we decided.
Any other comments?
we did. Yeah, just real quick, just a real heads up. The project's changed. We don't have a lot of money to do the whole project, so you're going to hear about this in the next meeting, that we might do it in sections. There's going to be an A, B, a B, 2, 3. So we're going to pick what's the most important, what's the most dangerous, because I'd rather do the most dangerous 100% than try to stretch it out and make everything a little bit better, because we don't know we're going to get to do this again. So, but you're all going to get a voice in that. But the plans changed. They only had the $9 million. We're going to see if we can find more money than that. But why do a little bit to make it a little safer? I think we should attack, and I'm thinking the middle section is the worst, but we'll look at that as a town and make that conclusion.
Jody.
I'd like to comment on this on a personal level. I have two. Could you just wait? I have 2 daughters, 21 years apart. My first daughter's best friend, Aaron Ibbotson, was killed in this section of Route 16, and so it really hits home for me. And then my youngest daughter, who now is drives down to Tamworth to pick up her boyfriend and bring him home and back and forth. And I always think about all the accidents, whether it's the tourists or the locals, but it does hit home personally for our family. So I'm definitely all for.
It's well written, so thank you for doing that. And wholly supported, of course. I'm wondering, one of the things that was talked about in that meeting was, you know, what is it that we can do now quickly on our own without having to rely on what other people are going to do? And what's the barrier that keeps us from purchasing or leasing or renting or whatever the speed sign, this is how fast you're going, just to enforce the 50, because they're going more than 50. So what is it that's keeping us from being able to do that? Taking money from public safety budget line, or, I don't know, renting from Madison or whatever?
We did have that conversation with DOT. And they have tried various things throughout the state, and what they find is people get used to it. It very quickly, it becomes just a blur. They're not even seeing that anymore. It might work in the short term. It might realize it quickly, but then they're going to realize that it doesn't mean anything. So the approach we took is to fund the sheriff's department a little heavier for more patrol. And I've noticed a difference, and I don't know if anybody else does, that there is a bigger sheriff's presence on 16, especially down in the Coleman area, coming up the hill, and at the other end, the 2 entrances to Albany. I'm aware of it. My kids are aware of it. They're always saying they're seeing a lot of sheriffs. I like that. That's the deterrent that is paying off for us. We come up with many signs, many different ideas, and they said that it's been tried, and people just blank out on it. After a while, it's just another sign. So I think it might be throwing good money away in the long run. If you want us to try that route, I know Wakefield did it, Tamworth did it. They got the flashing signs, and now they're not flashing. I mean, I noticed the ones in Tamworth, sometimes they're working, sometimes they're not, but it has been looked into, and we did get the opinion of the state.
Madison had talked about it being effective for them, and I know Moulton Borough, there's one by the school that they've used, and when it gets moved around...
Well, the mobile ones are nice. The mobile
yeah,
ones,
that's what I mean.
Because now you don't know where you're going to be.
Right.
It catches you, but those
that's what I was referring to.
Then it'd be on the sheriff's department to mobilize those and put them out. I don't know. I've never seen them do that. Madison has the...
State road, we don't have any control over it. We can't be in the state right of way or...
I thought we just had to get permission or something. I don't know. I'm just looking for something that we can do immediately. I think, we're all very cognizant of how we feel when we hear these sirens and accident after accident and people dying. And every time we hear the sound, it's, is that my loved one? So I'm an action-oriented person, and I appreciate the letter. I think we ought to do that. But I also think that we ought to do what we can in the immediate.
I think we need to get all of our friends, residents, to show up to that meeting. That's what's going to give us the biggest impact to the state, is to show up to that meeting and let them know what we're thinking and feeling.
I was at the last meeting. We were all gung-ho, and it was a while ago.
Yep.
And we've had accidents since. And we've been given advice by neighboring police departments. I think that it would be worthy to try than to not try something mobile. And if it means we don't, maybe we don't want to commit to owning our own because we don't have our own police department, but can we borrow or lease or whatever? I don't know.
We can't put it up without the state's permission, correct? It's a state road, so we can't do anything without...
Right, so we can ask permission, though,
yes,
right?
We can. Yes.
And we could probably get permission.
Rick?
Me.
Just one thing, we've been working on this for what, 12, 15 years at least, okay? We're on the 10-year plan, but we're on, I think, the third rendition of the 10-year plan, and they should have already done something, but they haven't. That's the state.
Now you can help me scream, so this will be good. I mean, I'm screaming at them, I'm making phone calls.
Oh, yeah. I throw rocks at them.
Well, I don't know if that will work, but you might feel better. But
I see brake lights.
We're going to make progress. We got to pass tonight and then get into that meeting with the DOT. But it's all about politics, and that's the game we got to play. And that's the game we're ready to play.
And participation.
Anything else on this issue? Sean, this is informal and it's not binding, but Sean has asked to have a vote to send this letter to the state, and so acquiesce to that? All those in favor of sending this letter to Sean that Sean drafted as a first step? All those opposed? Okay, thank you for doing that, Sean. We're going to be wrapping up soon. I wanted to say one thing about one person who influenced me quite a bit. Steve Knox passed away this last year. He was the one who trained me and asked me to be a moderator. I learned a lot from him to be a moderator. Whenever I had questions, he was always there to answer any questions I had as a moderator. He was extremely involved in the town. He was a giant in the town. Sometimes I agreed with him, sometimes I disagreed with him. I think all of us have felt the same way, but I can say I really appreciated everything he gave to the town for for decades and decades and decades. So I just want you to know that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
He's watching.
Any other comments, questions? All right, thanks, everybody. We have a great town. Let's keep it going. All right, let's close the meeting. Officially 8:38.